A modern harvest looks like the ultimate triumph of industrial scale. You see massive machines rapidly pulling raw calories straight out of the earth. As outlined in Dr. Solomon Galetta's Agribusiness Management curriculum at Lincoln University, the harvest is just one small node in a much larger economic engine. That engine is the U.S. food production and marketing system. It generates $1.5 trillion of value annually, accounting for roughly 5.5% of the total U.S. GDP. Sustaining that output requires over 17 million workers, distributed across a sprawling network that stretches far beyond the farm gate. This scale reveals a striking financial paradox. Despite producing record volumes of food, the farmer captures a remarkably small and steadily shrinking fraction of the retail revenue. If you break down a typical consumer food dollar, the farm share, what the producer actually keeps, is about 15 cents. The remaining 85 cents goes entirely to what economists call marketing. In this context, marketing does not mean advertising. It refers to the total value added through industrial processing, product packaging, as well as transportation and retail distribution. To understand the true economics of our food, we must look past the fields and investigate the massive network consuming that other 85 cents. Agribusiness operates as an integrated network of feedback loops, coordinating the movement of physical goods and capital through a global chain. This framework divides the U.S. food economy into three sectors. Everything originates in the input supply sector, providing biological and mechanical foundations. The middle node, production agriculture, combines these inputs to grow crops and livestock. The downstream food sector transforms raw commodities to meet consumer preferences. Managers working inside this chain operate under extreme uncertainty. A logistics delay or a sudden price spike at one single node will immediately ripple through the entire system. The core role of management in agribusiness is to link these disparate resources and markets to create value, even when conditions are volatile. Total food spending has grown massively over the last 3 decades, so why hasn't the farm share grown proportionally alongside it? This chart measures consumer expenditures and the marketing bill against the farm share from 1993 to 2017. Look at the flat farm share at the bottom. Contrast that with consumer expenditures at the top, which surged 380%, pulling the marketing bill up with it. Two main drivers explain this gap. First, agricultural productivity is exceptionally high. Farms yield so much raw product that the baseline commodity prices remain relatively low. Second, consumer habits have shifted. There has been a massive surge in demand for convenient, highly processed foods and meals prepared away from home. This high productivity, combined with extensive processing, creates a highly efficient market. In high-income nations like the U.S., consumers spend less than 7% of their income on food eaten at home. The widening gap in the data proves a specific economic reality. Consumers are increasingly paying for convenience and preparation services rather than raw agricultural output. If convenience is driving the market, we need to look at the exact composition of that 85-cent marketing share. The largest single slice is absorbed by food service. Restaurants, cafeterias, and caterers take 34.1 cents of every dollar. The next largest sectors are food processing, which accounts for 14.4 cents, and retail trade, taking 12.4 cents to keep grocery shelves stocked. We can pivot this analysis by looking at factor payments. Factor payments measure the specific resources, like labor, equipment, or property, that these industries must purchase to generate their output. When we do, we find the defining cost driver of the entire system. 49.3 cents of every dollar goes directly to salary and benefits. Nearly half of all food spending goes to human labor. It pays the millions of people required to move, transform, and sell these products day after day. Another 36.8 cents goes to property income. Property income refers to the payments made to owners of physical assets, covering the costs of the heavy machinery, specialized structures, and equipment used across the supply chain. The marketing bill is effectively a measure of human capital. It is the cost of the labor and equipment required to manage an inherently volatile biological supply chain. Why does this supply chain require so much labor and equipment? The answer lies in the biological nature of agricultural production. A tech company can increase server capacity overnight to meet a spike in demand. In agriculture, you simply cannot rush a natural growing cycle or pause a harvest just because the market fluctuates. A stark example of this is the 2022 HPAI outbreak. HPAI, or highly pathogenic avian influenza, is a severe and highly contagious viral disease that is often fatal to poultry flocks. The scale of the shock was massive. 56 million laying hens were depopulated in the U.S., instantly erasing a vast percentage of the national egg supply and leaving retail shelves empty. Prices spiked and remained high for months due to biological lag. A biological lag is the strict, fixed amount of time required for an organism to grow and reproduce, causing unavoidable delays in market responses. You cannot simply flip a switch to replace 56 million hens. It takes an unyielding 6-month cycle to raise a laying flock from a hatched chick to maturity. You are managing life itself. The recovery follows nature's schedule, not the preferences of management or the demands of the consumer. These biological lags force the downstream processors and retailers to bear massive price risks for extended periods while they wait for the upstream biology to catch up. Because food is essential for human survival, these biological shocks immediately translate into deep political and social pressure. Biological lags differentiate agribusiness from traditional manufacturing. The reliance on living organisms introduces a fragility that is absent in a factory assembling phones or cars. This chart shows the true direction of value and risk across the three sectors. Physical goods flow downstream. These raw commodities are inherently volatile, highly seasonal, and strictly constrained by biology and weather. Capital flows upstream. Executing that transformation requires immense capital sinks, from maintaining unbroken cold chain logistics to implementing rigorous food safety technologies and specialized storage facilities. The marketing bill is the price of manufacturing predictability out of natural biological chaos. For decades, the primary goal of agribusiness management was pure efficiency, optimizing the system to maximize physical output while minimizing unit cost. The flaw in that model is that a hyper-efficient system leaves no margin for error. It becomes extremely brittle when confronted with biological shocks, as the HPAI outbreak demonstrated. Future agribusiness leaders face a shifting mandate, designing systems that prioritize systemic resilience. Resilience requires an operational understanding of the entire supply chain, including the sectors and variables a manager does not directly control. The most successful managers think beyond their immediate balance sheets. They anticipate how a localized biological shock or an economic shift will propagate up and down the network. In a $1.5 trillion system governed by biology, the ultimate competitive advantage belongs to the operation that can absorb a systemic shock and keep running.